Hey, what's up, guys? Brad here. So today I want to talk about how to use 13F filings to copy the greatest investors in the world. So let's dive right into it. Now, Monish Pabrai, who's an investor that I love to copy. I love to clone this guy because I really understand his investment process, and it's very clonable, I'll say. It's easy to copy. Now, Monish Pabrai created something called the free lunch portfolio, okay? And one aspect of the free lunch portfolio is cloning great investors. So basically every year what the free lunch portfolio is it's 15 stocks that are picked kind of at the beginning of each year. And 5 of them are based on what other great investors have bought recently. And these here are the other, investment managers that Pabrai likes to copy. These are the managers he looks to find new investment ideas most often. You can see Pabrai's on the list, but you've got 8 others here that are very worth looking at their 13 Fs each quarter to see what they're doing. But let's dive into, where I like to go first to look at, what great investors are buying and selling, and that's here at Dataroma. So Dataroma is a website. They aggregate buy and sell information for all of these super investors, okay? So if you click on any of these, you can see, the date that it was updated, and this is going to give you kind of the latest holdings for these investors. So let's look at Pabrai. And this was updated on the 13th of February. Now, a big part of why I'm making this video now is because in about a week, the most recent quarter data is going to be available for all of these super investors. On the 14th of May is when all of these investment managers have to disclose what they bought and sold in the first quarter of 2020, okay? So this is for the last quarter of 2019. I just want to go through some of this. So you can see Fiat Chrysler, he sold, almost 6% of the position in the last quarter of 2019, added a little Micron, sold off almost a fifth of his GrafTech holding, okay? Now, because there wasn't a lot of activity in the fourth quarter in terms of managers buying new companies, and obviously this is true of Pabrai as well, we're going to make an assumption. So let's assume that, Pabrai added Micron technology to his portfolio. If it was a totally new position, it would say buy here. Instead of add 1.9%, it would just say buy. It means it's a new position. And now the next important thing here, if you can see a position has been added, is to try to get a sense of what price it was added, okay? Now, obviously, this makes up a pretty big chunk of the portfolio. This is only Pabrai's U.S. holdings, and I happen to know, he owns a lot of positions outside of the U.S. And you can see here about what the value is. You've got what, 120, 220, $270 million here in the U.S. And I think he's close to $1 billion in his total portfolio. So including what's in the U.S. and outside of the U.S. So just to give you some sense. But let's assume this said buy. Now, let's try to get a sense for what price he might have bought it at. So this was the fourth quarter of 2019. Let's look up Micron. So we're going to look at 1 year. And essentially we're going to look between October 1st, so 42.30. That was actually the low, it looks like, yeah. For that fourth quarter of 2019. So we're looking between October 1st and December 31st. So when I do this, when I look at these 13Fs, when I look at the recent buys from investors, I will basically assume that they bought at the low, okay? So I'm going to assume Pabrai bought Micron at about $42 a share, okay? Now, what I know about Pabrai is that he is really looking for companies where he's going to be able to double his money within 3 years, okay? That's kind of his minimum criteria for entering a new investment. So, assuming he bought at 42, that would mean he thinks Micron is going to be worth $84 per share within the next 3 years, in 3 years or sooner. So, $84 a share. What's it at now? It's at 48 per share. So, that's that's not a bad price. If you're looking to clone Pabrai, and you know that he got in at 42 or greater, 48 is pretty good. Probably what I would do, well, first I would dive a little bit deeper in the company, try to figure out, okay, why does Pabrai really like this investment at $42 a share? And this is just an example, guys. Pabrai, this isn't a new position for him. I think he probably got in less than $42 per share overall, if you weight all of his shares. But just as an example, because I do think he's going to have a new holding on May 14th. So I just wanted to walk you guys through kind of how I kind of look at what the price is, if it's still in a buy range or not, based on the price that they got in at, Pabrai got in at for Micron, or for whatever company is going to be showing up as a new buy on his 13F. So, that's just kind of an example. Now, Dataroma, it doesn't give you a lot of information. It just shows kind of the last quarter, how the positions changed. But, if you want to go deeper, you can go here to the sec.gov website. Now, to find Pabrai's, you'd have to know, that he uses Dalal Street that's kind of the legal name of Pabrai funds. So you'd search Dalal Street, and you come here and you've got all of the filings, okay? And this is what we're looking for, the 13F. So this shows the most recent 13F, which is for the last quarter of 2019. It has to be submitted within 45 days of the last quarter. So that's why you see these filing dates, which are 45 days after the quarter discussed. So if I want to look at the most recent one, I'm going to click on this info table, okay? And this shows me what his holdings were, kind of the estimated value, and then how many shares he owned. This is how many shares he owned in his U.S. portfolio on December 31st of 2019, okay? So, and then we can write down how many shares he owned. And we can go back, if we want to, and look at past 13Fs. Just to verify how the positions changed. So this is how many shares he owned on September. I don't know how many days September has. Let's say September 30th, 2019. This is how many shares he had. And you can go back, quarter by quarter, and see how the positions changed if you want to kind of research what his history of positions has been. So Yeah, this is directly through the government, so this is going to be the most accurate data. You definitely want to verify the data that you get here on Data Roma through the SEC. So that's basically it, guys. I'm really excited. It's Investor Christmas coming up every quarter. You know, February 14th, May 14th, every 3 months. You get to see what these incredible investors are buying and selling. So it's just a super exciting time. I just wanted to give you kind of an intro to my process of looking at what the super investors are buying. And I actually went through, I looked at the rest of these, and there's just not much to show, guys. There wasn't a lot of activity in the last quarter of 2019. I think these investors know that the assets were not cheap. The market was a bit frothy. And, it's obviously come down quite a bit within that first quarter of 2020, within the first 3 months of 2020. So I'm hoping we see some activity from these 9 value investors in just a week from now. And I will definitely be making a follow-up video on that, just to, show you guys what I found, what these investors are buying. So that's all I wanted to share, guys. If you like videos like this, smash that thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to cover in more detail. And thanks again for being here. Appreciate it. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.